What's up, guys? Ivan here with getivan.com, and in today's video, I'm going to be doing a review on proxyside.io, and the review is going to be bad. Okay, I don't typically do this. I might start doing more bad reviews, but I don't really want to spend a ton of time on these kinds of things. So the reason I'm giving this is because I paid some money. I spent all day talking with a guy trying to get this to work. It's not working, and it's a little bit sketchy. So there's no recourse for me to get my money back. And I didn't spend a lot of money. I spent just $30, but it was just a day's worth of proxy use, and I couldn't even get that. So let's talk about proxyside.io. Why was I looking at it? Why does it seem attractive on paper, and why it might be a scam? So I found these guys on Black Hat World proxy forum section. There's a lot of great services listed there that are worth looking into depending on your use case. These guys advertise private residential proxies, which very high level proxy, and they also advertise a pretty good size pool, 10 million, and they also advertise that they're rotating. Okay, so really awesome combination of things on paper. Some of these structures don't really make a whole lot of sense. Not really a great way to advertise that stuff. But when you take a look at the pricing page, it makes a lot more sense. So this is really kind of not super common to list things like this. But if you look at it real carefully, you can find some interesting packages. In particular, if you look at the Threads package, this is what caught my attention. The Threads packages are unlimited bandwidth and then 500 plus concurrent connections, so threads. But then they say only 4 million in the pool, so that's less than advertised, really. Number of ports, HTTP and SOCKS, and then they say it's medium quality with mixed locations. So that's kind of meh. But for scraping purposes, which is my primary use case at the moment, the main thing is unlimited bandwidth and then a ton of threads. And if they're residential rotators, then that's really cool. Problem is, I sent them a message on Black Hat World in the public forum requesting the discount code and also requesting a trial. They private messaged me the discount code. They did not private message me the trial. And I have a problem with that because on their FAQ page, they say that they'll give you a trial. So here, to request a trial, send an email to support, send us a link to your account, yada, da, 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 da. We reserve the right to refuse, blah, 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 blah. So they didn't refuse, they just didn't give it to me. They didn't say anything. So I said, okay, and I messaged them. I replied to the message in Black Hat message system asking for a trial, and they just didn't respond. After a period of time, they didn't respond. So I said, okay, whatever. I'll go buy a day because they have this weird structure where you can buy a day, a week, or a month. So my goal would have eventually, if this was really good, would have eventually been to spend $350 a month, which is a lot of money. It's a lot of money to spend on proxies. So you can obviously spend more money, but that's a pretty good amount of money to spend on proxies. You can't really spend that much money on proxies unless your business can justify this much money, and that's certainly my business is I need proxies for scraping purposes, for B2B leads and whatever else I might want to scrape. So I'm definitely a serious customer, and this is where I was heading. So I went to purchase this. Let's go through the process. And as soon as you get to the purchase page, I didn't see this, but it throws you this. It throws, you can only whitelist this many IPs, which is not really a big deal to me. But then 5-minute port rotating, which is not really great for scraping purposes. If you're sitting there on one source and doesn't switch for 5 minutes, they're going to burn a little bit. So I need per request and at the most a minute, right? And so they told me in a support chat that they did a minute, or they did per request. So they gave me an alternate thing, and I'll show you guys that in a second. and it didn't work. We'll get to that. But the first thing I wanted to show is, okay, it throws you a thing here. You can apply the coupon. The coupon they gave me is 10% off. Okay, and it does work. Funnily enough, I didn't apply the coupon. I just forgot about it. So I went through the purchase process, and here's one of the big drawbacks. You can only purchase with Bitcoin. So fortunately, I had set up an Exodus wallet last year and went through some stuff, and had some stable coins, so I was able to get this done. It was a little bit cumbersome because I had to like update firmware on my Trezor and update some stuff in Exodus, and so it took me a good hour just to get up to speed on what was going on with my crypto setup. But for the average person, having to go buy Bitcoin would be a very difficult task. They didn't provide this shopping cart is not set up to like take fiat. It's not set up to take USD and then to convert it into Bitcoin for the purpose of the vendor. It's just like you got to have Bitcoin or you can't purchase. So that's really like I'm all for decentralized finance and all other kinds of services. I think that's really awesome. As a vendor, I think that would be an amazing way to go one day. But right now, it's a little bit of a red flag to me in situations like this, because what that tells you is this person does not want to allow you to have any financial recourse. And I believe that's what's happened here, because once you send them money through this, it's not a payment processor, there's no paper trail. And when you look at the bottom of their site, at their About Us, their blog, their terms and conditions, it's all their pricing page. Look down here at the link. Pricing page, pricing. This goes to an FAQ. This goes to pricing. There is no documentation. It's like designed to look legitimate. There's no terms. There's no information about the company. So it's really just, it's designed to look like a legitimate brand, but you don't know who you're doing business with, and they want to take your money through Bitcoin. And so I sent them $30 for a day. And then here's the progression of what happened. So it took hours for them to deliver because it's not automated. And this is another red flag. Because the payment processing there's no way to automate that conveniently through this way they have it set up, at least. You can't. You have to manually process your purchase of proxies every month. So that's a huge downside. And it took them forever to set it up. It was the middle of the night. I probably set this up in the afternoon yesterday or something like that. And they didn't get set up till the evening when I was asleep. So I woke up at, and saw this at, 9:45 a.m. And I was irritated because they started the clock at 1 a.m. I lost half the time I paid for, and they comped me for it later. But supposedly they said that, but then they also gave me an IP. They told me they whitelisted an IP, which is not even the IP that I gave them, which is really weird. So I gave them my IP, and then I also made a complaint about the rotation and the purchasing process being cumbersome. And then they said, please use this per port request rotating, which is not really a complete sentence. That immediately sounds like, okay, this person can't speak English. And I said, hey, can you respond to all of my ticket? That last message wasn't a complete thought. You sent me a list of proxies. What's this new thing you're trying to send me? Please speak in complete sentences. So some services like localproxies.com will give you a single IP and port, and it's like an access point. And in the access point at Local Proxies, you get like 50 threads per IP and port. So they'll give you like 3 of these, and it makes up, the totality of the concurrencies that you have available to you. So to me, it's like kind of like saying there's 500 threads in this IP and port. But they didn't say that. They just said, please use this per port request rotating. That doesn't make any sense. As you English speakers know, that doesn't, maybe that's a label for this is the thing. This is a thing that does per port request rotating, but it doesn't tell me if all 500 threads or 1,000 threads are in this. The previous list they gave me looks like this. Okay, and you can use them because of whitelisting of the IP. So let's actually take a look here at this stuff. I use the Fogelden proxy tester, which is what proxies.com uses to test proxies on whatismyip.net, which is supposed to be a site that is accessible, right, to whatever. And so let's test the ones they gave me here. And this is obviously the IP given. So test these. Doesn't work. If it takes that long, it's failing. So you can see it's failing. It's obviously not working. Test these. Now this is the single IP and the port that's supposed to be per query, right? So test this. And it's obviously failing. So this fails. I also have run tests just in Scrapebox. So these proxies in the box right now are a new service I'm going to be covering in the next video. These are data center proxies. So these are they're not residential rotators, they're data center proxies. Okay, so I'm going to test these on electrician terms through Yahoo. So watch this on testing these on Yahoo. Let's start this up. Boom, 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 boom. You can see saved this many records, harvested this much information, etc. Okay, so I'm gonna stop this. So these data center proxies just accessed Yahoo, and some of them were a little imperfect. Some of them were perfect. Most of them were, a little bit messy. Just to prove to you guys, now these proxies, this is significant because these proxies are verified through my IP. They're not username and password. You see, IP and port, IP and port. Okay, I could sit here and show you other proxies. Those are my some of my data center proxies. Here are some other residential rotators that work through similar means, I believe, or these might be username pass, but point is that they work. Now let's throw these out and let's load in these. Add these from the clipboard. Now, because my IP has been whitelisted, these should work, right? So let's test this against Yahoo. You can see 875 proxies. So that's what I just loaded in. 50 threads, because that's the number of keywords. Can have more threads than the number of terms. And as you can see, it's just pending. It's not going to work. And I could do the same test with the other one, but I'm telling you right now, it's going to be the same result. So point is that they don't work. Either he didn't switch it like he said he did, or the proxies don't work. It's who knows. So he said, here, use this. And then I said, what's this new thing you can send me? Can you answer all my questions or whatever? To my issue with the time frame, because I only bought a day to test the network, he said, no panic, which also tells me he doesn't speak English, because people don't say no panic, right? You have 24 hours. So that kind of suggests, okay, maybe he extended my time. So thank you, but I don't know if that's true or not. This is the IP I provided. He said UIP is whitelisted. Okay. So that kind of leads me to believe that my IP should be whitelisted, right? And ideally per request. And he just repeated what he said about this thing here. And that, so he didn't really give me any new information about how much I'm supposed to use this. Is it just this with 500 threads? That's the only thing I can assume. So then here, purchase process was excruciating. He said, for instant purchase, use our contacts, for example, Telegram, which is weird, And you'll notice, guys, he takes Bitcoin. They have contact systems through encrypted communications tech like Telegram and some of the other unusual ones that are encrypted, similarly encrypted. He also uses Proton Mail, which is encrypted email. So these whoever this is, they don't want you to know who they are. We don't know who they are. It's suspicious, and I'm all for that. That's cool, but it's a little bit suspicious. And it's a little bit odd that it says for instant purchase, use our contacts. Why wouldn't it be instant through the shopping cart? So it's a little strange. Anyways, and then I said to him, you just repeated the last email regarding the actual proxies. Can you please speak in full sentence regarding the proxies so that I can start using them? Because he just said to me, please use this. And that doesn't really, he's not really telling me, okay, what is this you're giving me? Like, how am I supposed to use this? Like, it doesn't tell me how many threads, do all my threads work in there? I'm making a lot of assumptions. I don't know what's going on. And I said, in addition to my last message, I tried testing the proxies and they are failing. My IP doesn't appear to be whitelisted, perhaps. It's also not clear to me how to use the per request IP port and port you provided. So then this is what he said. You can see information about the poop in the description. So apologies for being a potty mouth, but that's literally what he said, quote, about the poop. Not to be tacky, but he just copied a screenshot here of the package. And there's no information here, so I don't know what he's referring to. Pool, ports, and then when you go to the page, it's not clickable, so there's not like a clickable description. And when you're on the sales page, it's like there's no information here like that he would be alluding to. So that was just clearly a bizarre, doesn't speak English phrase. And then he quoted me when I said, you just repeated the last email, like that doesn't tell me anything. He said, of course, you have received comprehensive information. Formulate a question if you need to know more. So you can really see the passive aggressiveness here, like inability to communicate with the support channel, like not giving me the basics of what I need to like get the proxies working. It's like super simple. I've had issues with proxy companies, but this is the most bizarre experience I've ever had with a proxy company. And that's why I told him, I said, dude, I have not received functioning proxies. You are also not speaking in full sentences. If you don't send me something, I'm basically going to make a bad review, which is what I'm doing now. Unfortunately, I'm having to make a bad review because I'm not getting anything. I'm not getting anything from this service. So that's my review of proxyside.io. On paper, they look like they could be legitimate, but at the same time, they're a little bit suspicious. There's no company information. They only accept Bitcoin for payment. They have encrypted chat systems, and they are using encrypted email. So I kind of am suspicious that I've just lost my $30, which is not much, but it would be a horrifying tragedy to lose $350. So I don't know. It's disappointing. I was hoping that these guys were legit. Maybe there's been a mistake. Maybe it's just an issue of my IP not being whitelisted and they just have some weird, paranoid company infrastructure and all the other points. There's clearly a communication issue. The customer service they weren't ugly or anything. They're not communicating clearly with me, and they're being kind of passive aggressive, and there's no place for that, in a situation when money's involved, I need someone to speak English when I do business with them, and I need, to get what I pay for, in a convenient in a convenient period of time. So, anyways, that's pretty much it, guys. Appreciate you watching. Check out my next videos on proxies. Now, if proxyside ends up changing, their ways, I end up being able to communicate. I end up being able to get my IP whitelisted, and I end up being able to actually test something legitimate, then I'll remove this video. But if this video is up, then you know that I have not received any actionable customer service from this company. And for now, it almost seems like a scam. I'm not sure, but I did lose my money, at least so far. So thanks for watching, and make sure to check out my next videos. I got some other services I'm going to test. And I will catch you then. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.